Welcome back to the Fight for Truth, where I help you question the narrative. Today, we will be discussing Mastema, or Satan, being held back, the Exodus story explained. I think I may just show you something that you haven't seen before. So, we're going to take a look at the accounts of Jasher and Jubilees and put the timeline together and see what happens. Jasher 81, 5 through 9. And the children of Israel journeyed from Mitzrayim, or Egypt, and from Goshen, and from Ramses, and encamped in Sukkot on the 15th day of the first month. And the Mitzrites buried all their firstborn to whom Yahweh had smitten. And all the Mitzrites buried their slain for 3 days. And the children of Israel journeyed from Sukkot and encamped in Etham at the end of the wilderness. And on the 3rd day after the Mitzrites had buried their firstborn, many men rose up from Mitzrayim and went after Israel to make them return to Mitzrayim, for they were sorry they had sent the Israelites away from their servitude. And one man said to his neighbor, "Indeed, Moses and Aaron spoke to Pharaoh, saying, 'We'll be gone 3 days' journey in the wilderness and slaughter to Yahweh our Elohim.'" So we're going to stop right there. I do have a few things highlighted and underlined for those of you who are just listening. The first thing highlighted is 15th day. So we are in the timeline of the week of Passover, but it's on the 15th day, and we all know that to be the first day of unleavened bread, correct? All right. The next thing that I have highlighted is 3 days. It takes the Egyptians 3 days to bury their dead. The things that I have underlined are the 2 locations that are mentioned here, Sukkot and Etham, and those are all going to come in handy as we continue this study. Let's take a look at verses 10 through 17. Now, therefore, let us rise up early in the morning. So again, the Israelites complained to Pharaoh, right? After 3 days had passed and the Israelites hadn't returned, they complained to Pharaoh, right? So then the next morning, this is what's happening here. Now, therefore, let us rise up early in the morning and cause them to return. And it shall be that if they return with us to Mitzrayim, to their masters, then we shall know that there is trust in them. But if they will not return, then we will fight against them and make them come back with great power and a strong hand. And all the nobles of Pharaoh rose up in the morning, and with them about 700,000 men. And they went out from Mizraim on that day, and came to a place where the children of Israel were. And all the Mizrites looked and saw Moses and Aaron, and all the children of Israel were sitting before Pi-hahiroth, eating and drinking and celebrating the festival of Yahweh. Obviously, they're still celebrating unleavened bread at this time. And all the Mizrites said to the children of Israel, "Indeed, you said, 'We will go a journey for 3 days in the wilderness and slaughter to our Elohim and return.' Now, therefore, this day makes 5 days since you went. Why do you not return to your masters?" So the key phrase there is 5 days, just so you know. Okay. Verse 15, and Moses and Aaron answered them, saying, "Because Yahweh our Elohim has witnessed to us, saying, 'You shall no longer return to Mitzrayim, but we will take ourselves to a land flowing with milk and honey, as Yahweh our Elohim had sworn to our ancestors to give to us.' And when the nobles of Mitzrayim saw that the children of Israel did not listen to them to return to Mitzrayim, they girded themselves to fight against Israel. And Yahweh strengthened their hearts of the children of Israel over the Mitzrites, that they gave them a severe beating. And the battle was hard on the Mitzrites, and all the Mitzrites fled from before the children of Israel, for many of them perished by the hand of Israel. Okay, so this is obviously going across the Red Sea, right? So they sent out a few ahead of them asking, "Hey, are you guys going to come back? Because if not, we're going to fight with you." Well, the fight didn't go so well, obviously. All right, so again, the key things to take away from this is that it took 5 days. Now, I want you to take a look at, this calendar here. All right, so this is a layout of the week right? We have starting on Monday the 13th all the way through Sunday the 19th. Now, I know that there are some people who don't agree with my timing of the Passover and the unleavened bread. If you want to learn more about my thinking, I have a couple of Passover videos according to the Zadok calendar that you might want to take a look at. This is actually confirmation of where I stand. And so I'm bringing this to you in a chart form and putting these verses side by side. Okay, so here we have my belief is that we are to celebrate Passover meal at the beginning of Passover when we blow our shofar in the evening. So that is actually on a Monday evening according to our Gregorian calendar, which is the beginning of our 14th day. And again, I go over this in great detail in my Passover video according to the Zadok calendar. So, according to Jasher, it said that a couple of things here. So we know that it took them 3 days, the Egyptians, 3 days to bury their dead. So they wake up in the morning on the 14th and panic mode sets in, right? A lot of people are dead. A lot of the firstborn, or all of the firstborn, are dead. And it says it takes them 3 days to bury their dead. So here we have 1 day, 2 days, and I'm starting in the evening. This is all evening time. And 3 days. So it took them 3 days to bury their dead. So it took them from Tuesday to Friday to bury their dead, right? So it said that. I read it verbatim. Okay, and then we have, I'm going to go back to Jasher 81:6. It talks about, Jasher 81:5. It says that they arrived in Sukkot, right? I believe that they left on the morning of the 14th, arrived at Sukkot, and because it was a holy convocation day, they rested. That's why they stayed at Sukkot. That's why they didn't travel farther than Sukkot that day, because they left in the morning and they had to get to a place and set up camp. And they set up camp at Sukkot. And then they rested on the 15th. And then they continued traveling. Now, it says here, Jasher 81:6 is where the Egyptians finished burying their dead, right here on Friday. Now, by this time, the Israelites are celebrating their 7th day Sabbath rest. And it says in 81:8, the Egyptians were complaining on this day because the Israelites were supposed to return on this day, Friday. And it says that the Egyptians complained to Pharaoh saying, hey, it's been over 3 days. They were supposed to arrive back sometime yesterday, and they have not. Okay, so this is when this is happening, this conversation with the Egyptians and Pharaoh. And then Pharaoh tells the Egyptians, hey, early in the morning, you guys are going to get up and go after them. So that would be this morning. And we're going to, this is in 81:10. The Egyptians are sent out, okay? Now, I know there's a couple of other verses. We're going to get to the Jubilees here because I want you to see something else. So let's take a look at Jubilees 48:15 through 19. And on the 14th day, and on the 15th, and on the 16th, and on the 17th, and on the 18th, the prince of Mastema was bound and imprisoned behind the children of Israel, that he might not accuse them. So this is telling us that on the 14th, the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, Mastema he's bound up so that he can't interfere with what's happening. Verse 16. And the 19th, we let them loose, that they might help the Mitzrites and pursue the children of Israel. So Mastema is released on the 19th. Okay. And he hardened their hearts and made them stubborn. And the plan was devised by Yahuwah our Elohim, that he might smite the Mitzrites and cast them into the sea. And on the 14th we bound him, that he might not accuse the children of Israel on the day when they asked the Mitzrites for goods and garments, objects of silver, objects of gold, objects of bronze, in order to plunder the Mitzrites in return for the bondage in which they had forced them to serve. And we did not lead out the children of Israel from Mitzrayim empty-handed. Okay, so I have some things here highlighted. Again, Mastema is bound from the 14th through the 18th, and on the 19th he's released. So keep that in mind. Also, verse 18 tells us that on the 14th day was when Mastema was bound. At the beginning of his being bound was when the Israelites were gathering goods, garments, silver, gold, objects of bronze. They're taking things from from the Egyptians, right? So keep that in mind. That's what's happening on the 14th. And Mastema is released on the 19th. So we're going to go back here to this calendar. Now again, we have the Passover meal here at the evening. When you blow the shofar that evening, you get your Passover lamb and you put it over a fire, right? That's the evening that this happens. I know a lot of people are doing it the next night. I again take a look at my other videos so to understand where I'm coming from. It says in Jubilees 48:18 that the 14th is when Mastema is being bound while the Israelites are gathering all of the goods from the Egyptians. So this matches my understanding of the next morning still being the 14th, that they had the meal on this day. This is when Mastema is being bound up so he cannot interfere with the Israelites taking all the plunder from the Egyptians. And this is when they gathered and they left. They arrived that evening. 3 days it took to bury. And then by the 4th day, the Egyptians are saying they didn't come back by the 3rd day, which is when they were supposed to come back, right here on Friday. They were supposed to come back. So then we have the Jasher saying that Pharaoh allowed them to go the next morning. And that is also explained in the Jubilees. So let me go back here. Okay, so on the 14th, the 15th, the 16th, 17th, and the 18th, Mastema was bound, right? And then he was let go on the 19th. So here we have the 19th. Mastema is released. And the Egyptians go. They go with all of their chariots, with everything they have, full force to go after Israel. And what are the Israelites doing on this day? They're resting and they're hanging out and they're having fun because it is the week of unleavened bread. So it says that the Israelites were celebrating the feast. And this is when the Egyptians told the Israelites, hey, you're supposed to be back, right? You said you would be back after 3 days. And again, it says, but it has been 5 days. Let me go back. Jasher 81 verse 14 states, now therefore this day makes 5 days since you went. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is all lining up, everyone. Just so you know, this is the day that the Israelites crossed the Red Sea because they sent out the Egyptians to the Israelites to try to get them to turn back, and they didn't do it. And so then they sent the whole army and chased them across the Red Sea. Okay, I hope this is making sense to you. Again, this is my understanding how the week happened, and I believe that we are to have our Passover meal at the beginning of Passover, not at the end of Passover. And this timeline works out perfectly. And I showed you the Jasher 81, 5 through 17. This timeline matches. Taking a look at Jubilees 48, 15 through 19. Now we're going to take a look here at a map. So we have the Israelites leaving on the 14th from Ramses to Goshen, right, to Sukkot. Sukkot's right here. They didn't travel very far because they had to get to a place and rest for the Moedim, right? It's a holy convocation day. You're not going to be traveling. So here they are at the 15th. And then they continue their journey after the 16th, the feast is over, and they can travel again. So between the 16th through the 19th is when they got to Etham. Let me take a look. This was here in Jasher 81, verse 7. It says, and the children of Israel journeyed from Sukkot and encamped in Etham. Right? So here is Etham, right here. And this is where the Egyptians caught up with them. And it didn't take long for the Egyptians to catch up because they were all working on adrenaline there, getting from here to here, because they left early on the morning of the 19th, and that is verified through Jasher and Jubilees. And then we know that they crossed the Red Sea that day. So I want you to be able to see this. This is the progression of the week. And yeah, I just hope that you are seeing what I'm seeing. It's just another way to view all of this. So anyway, I hope that you all are doing well. And if you have questions, please ask. And I know that you're all not going to agree with me, but that is okay. I'm just presenting my opinion, my opinion based on scriptures and how I see them in the timeline. So, anyway, all right, everyone, continue to fight for truth. Be blessed.